everyone, Mel here. Hope you're having a great day so far. So I've had a few requests asking for a video on devaluation, why it happens when you're dating someone with BPD and how to best manage it. So devaluation, just like idealization, is an ego defense mechanism that a lot of people employ. It's not just people with BPD. You find it with people with NPD. You find it in bullies, for example. You see it everywhere. Devaluation can be really obvious, like being humiliated in front of your friends, being constantly put down, shaming you in public. And it can also be really covert, like you're feeling that you're always disappointed, you're always letting him or her down, the passive aggressiveness coming from your partner that over time is actually wearing down your esteem more and more. And you are being devalued, you're just not realizing that you're being devalued. In fact, they're being so covert about it that you really think it's been you all this time that is the cause for everything to go wrong. So devaluation happens quite often in many kinds of relationships, but for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to focus on being devalued by your BPD ex or your current partner if you're still going out with them. How does this happen? Why does this happen? And how do we best manage it? I'm going to try and address all of this in this video. Let me know your thoughts below as well. So devaluation is an ego defense mechanism for someone with BPD to manage their anxiety and to help manage any external or internal stresses. So with BPD, they have this fear of abandonment. It's already happened in the past. They've had a very traumatic past, and the development of borderline personality disorder is as a result of a hostile growing environment in which they grew up in. It's partly genetic and it's also partly in how we're raised as well. So as a result, they have a massive fear of being abandoned, being rejected, as well as a deep-rooted fear of abandonment. Someone with BPD is terrified of intimacy and yet craves it at the same time. They want it and they don't want it. It's the essence of the ambivalency towards you. And they've been like this since they were a kid. And we see that when it comes to relationships, it's quite common that in the initial phase, when you start dating someone with BPD, that initially it goes really well. It is great. In fact, it's probably the best relationship you've ever been in. And part of this is the idealization phase. See, someone with BPD is inherently codependent. They have an external locus of control. They are in a constant well of misery and anxiety, and they're looking for someone to come rescue them. And they do romanticize partners. They're longing for someone to come and get them out of this hellhole that they're in. And so when they meet someone who ticks all the boxes and they start to attribute overly positive qualities to them, this is the idealization phase. And again, it's a defense mechanism to avoid not feeling anxious. They're feeling anxious all the time, and for a brief respite, people with BPD can indulge in the fantasy of actually having met the one. Yes, this is the relationship that will make it all worthwhile. It's going to make everything different. Things are going to change. I'm going to feel amazing. This is it. So for however long that is, a few weeks, maybe even a few months if you're lucky, they will be elevating you. And it feels amazing to have this adoration, especially if you haven't had this growing up. In fact, if you've never been really appreciated as a kid and now you're dating someone with BPD and the relationship is quite young, it always feels like our inner child is best friends with their inner child. And so suddenly receiving all that adoration, and it's like, wow, finally I feel seen. It's amazing. However, the fear of abandonment does kick in at some point. There are seeds of doubt that are forever planted in the minds of someone with BPD. And these seeds of doubt means that they're going to start questioning. They're going to start growing suspicious of you. They are highly sensitive to cues in their outside environment, and if they're feeling anxious, they will start to look for cues that would confirm what they're thinking or feeling. So they have their doubts, they have their suspicions, they start to look out for things that confirm to them that actually, yeah, you are going to leave them. They start to think, he's getting bored of me, she's cheating on me, and they will be more sensitive to cues, and the cues confirm back to them in their minds that what they're thinking and feeling is correct. And in turn, this just perpetuates and strengthens the feelings and the thoughts that come with it, that maybe I might have made the wrong choice with this person. So what happens is they start to develop contempt. They start to feel angry towards their partner. They will start to blame you. And the thing about a relationship is that it's the riskiest of all relationships compared to like friendships, because there's a greater potential for being hurt. And there is nothing as painful as emotional pain, especially when it touches upon the initial wound of abandonment. And that's a terrifying feeling. It threatens ego death for the person with BPD. It's a pain worse than death itself. And as such, they don't want to be sitting with these feelings. And you will find that people with BPD find it hard to question their feelings. In fact, they get swept up by the tsunami wave that is anxiety or rage, for example. And rather than question why this is happening, is this the past, or is this actually happening in the here and now? They won't do that. In fact, they will start to change memories. They will start to think differently to confirm what they're feeling is correct. See, people with BPD have an external locus of control. Like I said earlier, they're looking for someone to rescue them out of their well of misery. However, they're also looking for someone to blame. And the thing about anger is that it loves to have a target. Think about it when you're in an argument and it's easy to get worked up and want to blame someone. And you, the romantic partner, you are going to be the recipient of this rage. Not all people with BPD will exhibit rage. I mean, it happens a lot. Some people, however, it's introverted and they're depressed more than they are physically angry. But nonetheless, the rage is there just under the surface. And they will want to change their initial perceptions of you to justify this rage. They will want to blame everything on you. And what this anger does as well is not only is it giving them a target for their rage, you, as the overly nice, really kind, caring person, you're taking it, you're just accepting it, thinking, I don't know what's going on here. She didn't used to be like this, but I want to keep the peace. If this will make her happier, then all right, I'll take it. And you think you're doing this, you're keeping the relationship healthy, that you're keeping the peace, you're making her happy, but it's just making you the scapegoat, and you're accepting the blame. When you're accepting the blame all the time, she is going to be, or he is going to be, more convinced in their minds that they are justified in being angry towards you. So feeling really angry creates an emotional barrier. So initially, where they were feeling anxious and scared that you might leave them, well, now this emotional barrier that is anger and contempt towards you, well, what this does, it protects them from this anxiety, this pain. It gives them a feeling of superiority over you. So the more that you placate and give in and submit when she's devaluing you, when he's devaluing you, then it's just adding fuel to the fire for them. And it's not actually helping you in the long run at all. Instead, what this is doing is fueling her negative devaluation campaign against you. This is a term that you see with political opponents when they want to bring down the other opponents, and they will shame them and ridicule them and humiliate them and get the dirt on them. And it's all done out in public. And this can happen when someone with BPD is devaluing you. So as I said earlier, people with BPD, they find it hard to stop and pause and question their behaviors and question, should I be really thinking and feeling this way? Should I be doing this? They don't do that. They get caught up in it. And this negative devaluation campaign, well, this is stopping her from ever questioning her behaviors. It doesn't. In fact, what she will do is that she will tell other people a very twisted, one-sided version of events, and she'll want to hear back from them. Oh, poor you. Oh my God, I'm so sorry that happened to you. What an asshole, what a dickhead. You know, we're on your side. He is such a bad person, or she is such a bad person. And this is just like confirming to her that these stories, this narrative in her head is actually real. It's the truth. So this is why they employ this negative devaluation campaign. It's keeping this fantasy alive. And this is what you see with people with cluster B personality disorders. It's NPD and BPD. They don't have a stable sense of self. They don't know who they are. And so they need other people around to help create their false world, to keep it real. So I often get asked, what do I do if my BPD partner is devaluing me? What should I say to him or her? Should I tolerate it? I would say, well, how much can you handle? And is it safe? Is it safe for you to be you? It is no life to be living as an adaptive person who is just constantly giving in, not really fully expressing what you're thinking and feeling at the time because you don't want to risk rocking the boat. You don't want to risk upsetting your partner. It's just easier. It seems life is a lot less complicated if I can just not say much and just let him or her mouth off at me and, you know, hope that it will all work out, that him or her will come to their senses. However, when you're doing that, every time you do that, you are chipping away at your authenticity. You're not being you anymore. See, we want to be in relationships that we're challenged. Being in relationships in which we're always too nice to each other, we will get bored. One person gets bored. We need a healthy challenge in a relationship. Someone who is going to gently push us and not let us forget what our goals are and keep pushing us to pursue what we actually really want to. We can look back in the past and see, I've actually become a healthier person, a more determined, a more focused, more organized person. I'm evolving to someone that I really wanted to be because of you in my life. But you have to know what your limits are. What for you is acceptably healthy and challenging, and what is just downright abusive. If it's someone who just has BPD traits, then it can be enough to just keep mirroring back to them when they're projecting onto you. Now, this happens a lot with people who have BPD. I mean, everyone projects, everyone does, but notably people with BPD. It's because they can't handle any bad aspects of themselves, anything that they deem shameful within themselves. They see it as bad and they would rather see it on you. So when they see it in themselves, actually, they'd rather see it in you and then point the finger and blame you and shame you. So a way to manage that, and this is such a good skill to learn for any interaction with anyone, is to not give it a hook, to not take the bait. And this comes from practicing being the observer, practicing meditation and mindfulness, practicing mind training to help you to pause and think, do I want to be thinking this way? Do I want to be indulging in these feelings that are welling up? Do I really want to be engaging in these behaviors? The ability to pause and choose how you want to respond is the pinnacle of personal development. And this is something that someone with a personality disorder I highly doubt will ever really achieve. There are people with full-blown BPD who will not accept any responsibility for how they're behaving and how they're treating you. They will not take any accountability. And you being real and saying, actually, no, this isn't me. Is any of this you? Can we talk about, let's do a bit of shadow work here. What is this really all about? Is this something in the past that you're reacting to? Anything like that, it will likely be met with even more rage. And it's likely that their negative smear campaign against you is going to get heightened. So you have to protect yourself. Put your safety first. If you think that you being you expressing authentically your needs is going to incite even more aggression from him or her, that you gotta go, man. It's time to get up and go. Put yourself first, okay? It is not the risk of your mental health and your physical safety being destroyed. It's not worth it. So to end, I want to say that you cannot change the actions of a toxic person, of someone who is truly dysfunctional. They don't have a real grip on reality. You are fighting a losing battle. When you're dealing with someone who is devaluing you, you have three options essentially. You can take it, you can walk away, or you can fight back. And you have to think which is the safest for you to do. What you can manage and what you really can't manage. So you need to be honest about your limitations. And it's okay. If you can't manage this, you are well within your right to go and to leave. And you have to bear that there's not much, if anything, that you can do or say that will make him or her change their mind about you. When they've got their mind set on hating you, it's impossible for them to change their mind unless it suits a purpose for them. So they've run out of resources and they want you back again, a resource, then yeah, they might come back into your life. But except that if this devaluation has been going on for a while, it's very, very highly unlikely that it will go back to how it was. And I'm really sorry to say, I've been there and it sucks, and it's a nostalgia for how it used to be, and dreaming about it to soothe the discomfort. But denial can only do so much. At some point, I have to accept that they aren't who we thought they were. The relationship isn't going to be saved. There's not much you can do. And to learn to manage that helplessness and to walk away if you need to. Ultimately, the best way to handle any sort of devaluation from anyone in the future is to improve the relationship with yourself, build your self-esteem, build up your sense of self-worth, and do this by yourself. Don't look to someone else to do this for you. When you learn to respect yourself more, when you have greater self-worth and confidence, then when someone comes into your life and just starts devaluing you, you just don't take it personally. For one thing, you can see it for what it is because you've made peace with yourself. You know, you're working with your shadow self, and so you own it now, so no one can shame you for something that you've made peace with. And B, you have enough self-respect to not want to waste your time with people who are disrespecting you like this. You don't need to hate on them, you don't need to destroy them, you just need to walk away to think, I'm better than this. I don't deserve this in my life. Time is limited. I would rather spend my time and energy around people who actually deserve it, and people who reciprocate and actually respect me and my time. The relationship with someone with BPD is not like any other relationship. We are elevated and then we are brought down. We're both adored and we're both shat on as well. And it's hard to grasp it. We want that amazing rush, that amazing high that we experienced initially in the relationship, in the romantic idealization phase. We want to get back to that. And the thing about denial is that we think that it can go back to that because that belief is soothing the discomfort and the realization that deep down it's changed. And the thing about someone who's borderline is that they will have moments of lucidity where they seem like normal, like how they used to be when you initially first fell for them. And sometimes it seems unpredictable when this happens, but this does happen, and this can give us a sense of false hope. And this false hope just makes a denial even stronger, that it can go back to how it is. There's nothing wrong in the relationship. Everything is actually okay. It was just they weren't feeling good. You'll start to make reasons for their behavior and justify why they're doing this. And then we find ourselves are constantly justifying why they're doing this, but not really addressing that maybe something's not right. And you know you're in this situation when you're not telling other people actually how bad it is, because these moments of lucidity come back when he or she's normal again. And you think, okay, yes, they're back to how they would be. Thank God. It doesn't last for long though. So at some point we have to realize that we are soothing ourselves by the nostalgia, by romanticizing the past, by longing for something that can never be again. And that's painful. It's a painful realization. It's why the end of a relationship with someone with BPD is the worst part. It's just the realization of everything, of just how bad it is, and that it's not going to go back to how it was. It's very painful to bear. So I'm going to leave it here. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you can relate, if you're going through something similar to this, if you've been in this situation before, please feel free to talk about it in the comments below. Love to hear about your experiences. I think a lot of us are experiencing this, and it's something that we shouldn't have to suffer alone. Know that you're not alone in what's happening to you. And if you feel like you need some counseling to make sense of this all, if this is happening to you and it's really wearing you down, then know that I provide counseling online. Maybe I can help. Drop me an email, melanieprsvp@gmail.com. And have a lovely evening. Take care for now. Bye-bye.